Before we start, this week's video is sponsored by bestofbets.com. They provide plenty of analysis and tips ahead of the Grand National meeting coming up. Please gamble responsibly, 18 plus and gamble aware, and their link is in the description below.
Hello and welcome back to the Only Fools Love Horses YouTube channel, and it is that time of the year again. The Cheltenham Blues are just going away, but we've got time now to look at Aintree and the most famous race in the whole world, the Grand National. 40 runners, 30 fences to get by, and only one winner. And fingers crossed, one of us three can find the winner of the Grand National. We've got all the grade action to cover as well, a few handicaps as well. We're going top to bottom from the Thursday to the Saturday of the Grand National meeting, and I can't wait for it. The three of us are here again. We've got a bumper episode. We're going to talk through all the action. We've got interviews from James Griffin, the assistant trainer, to Patrick Griffin, running Roy Marge in the Grand National, and we're going to talk to one of the part owners of Corach Rambler as well, Cameron Sword as well. So that'll be really, really good to talk to. But Lee, we'll talk to you first of all. How is everything ahead of the Grand National?
Looking forward to it, Ash. I was going to go down on Saturday, but we're going to Newcastle. There's 45 people going. So there's going to be quite a rowdy crowd up in Newcastle. But we'll watch it on the big screen. The match is on first, and then the racing at Newcastle, and then we'll watch the National. So looking forward to Saturday.
Sounds like a good weekend. Harry is stuck in, I can only assume, a travel lodge somewhere, or maybe a prison cell, wherever you are. Harry, what have you been doing with yourself today to warrant the background that we've got given?
Oh well, when I'm not here and when I'm not working at Tesco as a part-time, I am a referee. So if people don't like me anyway, then they've got even more reason to dislike me. So no, I am stuck at a private school in I'd say a cabin or something like that. But this is my only chance to speak to you, lovely pair, and preview what is arguably, in my eyes, I love this festival, and I think it's one of the best few days of the calendar year. So it's definitely up there with Cheltenham. Definitely up there with Cheltenham.
Oh, 100%, yeah. One of the big spring festivals. I can't wait to get stuck into it. And we're going to go through all the grade action, but we're going to treat you all. We're going to go to the Grand National first of all. We're going to talk through a couple of our fancies. We'll go through the pricing at the moment. Top in the market, 13-2, Corach Rambler. We'll talk a little bit more about him and get the words from Cameron Sword as well. Noble Yates, last year's winner, 8-1. Delta Work in there at 10s. Any second now, 14-1, the one that the handicap has got a firm grip on. Garde Maynil, Mr. Incredible at the same prices, and it's bigger about the rest. We'll go to the CEO of the Corach Rambler fan club before we head over to Cameron in Lee. Let's talk through. I assume you're in the Corach camp, but what is your Grand National team looking like this year?
Definitely in the Corach camp. I love the horse. I do love his style. I like ones that come through in kind of battle to win the races. He's done that twice and in 2 Ultimas now. I think he won the Ultima well. He kind of pulled up when he got to the front, and I think he had plenty more in the tank. He's going to be officially like £10 well in. So if they had the chance to reassess, he would have got that extra 10. And hopefully Derek Fox can take the ride. We're going to obviously speak to Cameron about that soon, but hopefully Derek can go ahead and take the ride because he knows the horse well. The style of run, he's obviously going to be a little bit back and then have to come with a power-packed run like he did in the Ultima. And it's often not favourable in this type of race. Obviously, in National, you don't want horses going down in front of you and stuff like that. Noble Yates managed to do it, and obviously the Yard done it with 1 for Arthur as well. Them 2 horses come from quite far back as well. So I'm hoping he's just so well in and he'll jump and take to the fences, and I think he's got a cracking chance. Obviously, 6-1 for a National is not the greatest price, but I am on a tasty price. I won't. Well, actually, I'm not after it because I did tell people to back. No. I told people to back the double of the Ultima and the National at 150-1. And a couple of people mentioned that they've got on because of mentioning it before Cheltenham. So I'm glad of that. But Yeah, 6-1 in a national is not too great, but I think he's so well in. And look, Delta Wake, the rain's starting to fall a bit. He's won 2 cross countries. He'll stay all day. He was 3rd last season. I think Noble Yates, he had a tough race. He's come from a long way back to be 4th in the Gold Cup. And I think he had a tough race, although obviously we know he's won it before. He stays well. I'm just worried about the tough race from the Gold Cup, trying to back that up in a national. So he's probably one I'd leave, Noble Yates. But Delta Wake would be another on my team. And at bigger prices, I do like the Big Breakaway. As light his profile, he's a classy horse. I just think this type of race might suit him, like a different kind of test in new fences. So he might take to it well. And the same with Vanillier. If he can get his jumping together, I think he's a classy horse. Obviously won at Bartlett. And I think them two will come home well. So Vanillier and the Big Breakaway. But my main 2 are Delta Wake and, of course, Corach Rambler. I hope he goes and wins it for Cameron as well, who we're going to be speaking to soon.
Yeah, we'll go straight over. Before we go to Harry, we'll go straight over to Cameron now. Please do ignore if my camera shuts off a couple of times for this video. It's having some issues, but went over to Cameron to talk about Corach Rambler. So it's the big week. It's the big race, the Grand National. And we're joined by part owner, part of the Ramblers. It is Cameron Sword of Corach Rambler. Cameron, we've spoken many times. We've actually been out drinking during the Cheltenham Festival week. First of all, how are you on this fine day, and how are the nerves heading into the weekend?
Yeah, I'm doing good. The nerves are picking up a little bit with all the news articles and stuff coming out, but I want to get to Saturday morning and just battle through the day, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it's all been worth it.
Now, me and you have a touch of history. You came up to me in the parade ring in 2022 now, said that Corach Rambler will run well in the Ultima. I said, oh, good luck, mate. He went and won. 2023, we've been out drinking on the week, and now we've got the Grand National coming up. It's been a month since the Ultima. How has he been at home in that time?
Yeah, so he came out the Ultima fine. He was a little bit underweight, but he's fine. He's schooled. Brian Hughes schooled him over the national fences today, so I've seen the videos. It's all gone smoothly. So, yeah, I think he couldn't be in better form going into the national. And yeah, I mean, all the preps, from what I know, has been pretty smooth.
All the preps being smooth. You mean sort of keeping fairly on toes? You know, been hitting every marker that Lucinda and the team behind him are all happy with.
Yeah, he's a pretty easy horse to train. Doesn't come out of races kind of needing an awful lot of work. School rides him most days, just goes off and does his own thing. So, he's a bit of a different horse to train, but from what I've heard and what I've seen, I mean, they've got no problems with him. So,
as a personality, what kind of personality is he like around the yard and around the people that he deals with every day?
Yeah, so when I first went to see him, he would kind of stay in his box, face away, didn't want to see anyone, and then when you see him now, it's just amazing. The personality that's kind of come out of him. He'll give Scoo a little bit of jip, kind of kick him, nip him, and kind of makes himself aware. But he's definitely one that likes the cameras, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's what you've definitely one that's been liking the camera as well with the media coming up. Hey, it's been nice, brilliant stuff. I'll go. Lee, now you got a couple of questions to fire over.
Yeah, I actually did see Peter after his Ultima win, and he says he gives him a bit of a nibble every morning when he's trying to saddle him up and stuff. He's not had a nibble of you yet, Cameron?
No, he's not. But when I was last up there, he was giving Skew a few little nips that must have left a few bruises. So now the two of them just get on, and I think Skew's got such a bond that's been kind of publicized everywhere, and that's kind of Skew's horse. He deals with that, but no, I think the two of them just go hand in hand, and it only helps bring Corach out his shell. So
we'll link it in with that. Really, I've been saying that obviously a house in yours now going to be ridden by Brian Hughes. You're going to give us an update on what's going to happen with Corach, and is Derek going to be okay for Saturday?
Yeah, so Derek had a fall at Wetherby just kind of last week, and all the impact kind of went into his shoulder. So he went and got checked at the hospital. Nothing's been broken. He's all good. He's ridden out himself since the injury, and I think it's more of just a caution play. Doesn't want to kind of get on a high. If he was to fall and rule himself out the Grand National, I think that would be such a major regret for him. And obviously with One for Arthur, that race is kind of giving Derek kind of that step up and kind of giving him all the media attention. He wouldn't want to pass up that opportunity to ride on Corach, especially being £10 well in. So he's pretty much 99% going to ride, and I'll leave it down to Lucinda if she has to get someone else to ride. So
I think he knows him so well, obviously with the 2 ultimate wins and how he's ridden as well. But it was a lucky omen for One for Arthur, because I did read that he had the same injury going in for One for Arthur's ride as well. So it might be a lucky omen for you.
Yeah, I think the nerve's always there, and especially with a horse like Corach, he's someone that if he wasn't to have Derek on board in both those Ultimas, I think we could all agree that he wouldn't have even been there or been close. So I think Derek is such an important part to kind of Corach, and any chance that Corach has, that we're all just really hoping that he can get there, be safe enough to be well enough to ride. And if Derek's on board, I mean, we're all got the faith in him, and I think our hopes will be as high as they can be.
Harry, I think you've got a couple of questions.
Yeah, I want to go on yourself, Cam. I mean, you're 21 years old. Not many people of our age. I mean, I'm 19, Ashley's 20. We're all kind of in this younger age bracket, apart from Lee. Lee's in the OAP section. There's 4 of us here. But for yourself personally, you must be so proud of what you've achieved personally, owning a horse. With the talent that Corach has got. I mean, he's taking you to places, Coral Gold Cups, me and Ash were there. I remember him saying, listen, just don't even watch the first half of the race. Just watch when Corach starts to come up the straight. It must be some thrill just on race days, being a part of the action and having a favourite in the Grand National.
Yeah, I mean, I got into racing during COVID, and just kind of watching any sport that was on TV and being shown, watched the Grand National, watched Cheltenham, and basically just fell in love with it from there. And then I wanted to learn how you read the form, then kind of looked at the breeding side of things, and it's just gone from there. I think it really hit me at the first Ultima, just kind of seeing just how big everything was and how much of an occasion it was. And I think as we've said, it's down to Derek Fox. I think the man rides that horse brilliantly. Even at Newbury, he pecked 3 out and he was gaining on the line. And obviously that's ended up with Lemilos giving us weight in the National. So, no, from me personally, I've been told many a time by Scoo that don't expect this with every horse going forward. He says it's been very lucky and it can only go down from here. So no, I'm just trying to take it all in, to be honest.
And then we'll touch on Saturday. I mean, take it all in. I want to know what your plans are for Saturday when you wake up. What is your itinerary for the big day?
Yeah, so hopefully won't have too big a night on the Friday, and then I'll have.
If you're with Ash, you've got no chance of that. You won't even make Aintree.
And then, so wake up on the Saturday, head to the race course, and we'll walk around. We'll walk around the course at around kind of 9 a.m. Just kind of talk about the tactics and how we hope the race will play out, and then it's just a case of trying to distract myself till 5 o'clock, see the horse in the parade ring, and then just go from there, really.
And then just touching on the Ultimas and the success you've had with him, I just want to know on a personal level how it feels seeing Corach turning in to the straight and he's in with some sort of chance, because you know he stays so strongly. It must be one hell of a thrill to own the horse and know that he's going to hit the line strong. And at Aintree, if he turns around and jumps the last with any sort of contention, there won't be a horse hitting the line strong.
He wins.
Sure of that. So, well, how does that feel on a personal level? Is the adrenaline just go? Can you watch the screen?
Yeah, no, I'm not bad at watching. I normally watch all the races with Lucinda and a couple of the other guys, and then Scoo always watches it on his own. He can't handle the pressure. Really? And then no, he's always a horse that up until the line, you always think he's got a chance. He'll come from nowhere. I think in the Grand National, it's been everyone's aware that his running style is not exactly what you kind of want, with the potential of horses to fall in front of you. But I think the way that Derek's going to ride this race and everything like that, he's £10 well in. The only problem is if something was to block him. I think he's got the stamina to stay. He'll relish the fences, and the videos just make it look like he's got no problem with those fences. And then hopefully Derek can just steer very much like the Ultima in 2022, just steer in and out of horses and give him that. Because if he's turning into the home straight, not too far back, I think he'll definitely be thereabouts.
He's quite nimble though in them two Ultimas. He's quite nippy. He had to weave in and out of horses. So I think, look, Noble Yates done it in 1 for half. I come from a long way back. He's got a cracking chance.
Yeah, for me personally, I couldn't have Noble Yates just purely based on the weights. I mean, he's giving Corach something like £20, which is maybe just a touch too much. And I think Corach coming from the back, it was almost, he maybe left it a little too late at Newbury. But I think Corach's one of those horses that constantly improves. And I think last year, the biggest problem would have been, is he going to make a mistake at one of the fences, have a bad jump? But his jumping's improving. And as a horse, up until recently, he was still growing and still getting bigger and growing into himself. So, no, I definitely think that as long as he's not too far back, then he should be thereabouts.
There's definitely a few people that will be on your side, Cameron, come 5 o'clock on Saturday. Cameron, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming on the Only Fools Love Horse YouTube channel. And we all wish you the best of luck with Corach Rambler. Good luck on Saturday.
Perfect. Thanks, lads.
Thank you very much, Cameron, for that. And we'll go to Harry now. Harry, it's a strong team there for Lee. Corach Rambler heading it. And what will be your horses on your radar for the Grand National this Saturday?
I do think, Ash, we spoke about this just before we went on air, and I just think that Corach Rambler is that well in. There's no point really trying to not knock him, because even though his running style is a little bit unfavourable to what Aintree kind of needs, he's just such a good horse, and he's got such a big engine, and he stays on so well. I mean, his 2 Ultima wins are no fluke. They're basically replicas of exactly the same thing. And do you know what? If he can get into a rhythm, if he can escape all the problems that Aintree possesses, I mean, it's going to be a massive field. God knows where he's going to line up. God knows if you'll be able to see him for the first couple of first circuit or so. You probably won't, but I'd love for him to win it. Would I be diving in at 13-2, 6-1? Probably not. Is he my strongest fancy in the race? He is, because I think he is the most likely winner.
Come on, Biaz, we can win this.
But I'll give you two. I'll give you two. And do you know what? One of them is a horse that I absolutely love, and he's a massive price. He's just actually snuck in, and it's Back on the Lash. And really? This drying ground, I know we've had a bit of rain, but it's not going to be horrible ground, and it's certainly not going to be Cheltenham ground. What this horse pulled up in the cross country. Now, obviously, the race at Trials Day is always his race. He always wins that race. It's religion. It's a religious thing for him. It's tradition that he goes on and wins from the front. Sean Bowen, his regular pilot, won't be obviously on board because he'll be riding Noble Yates. But Adam Wedge is on board. I think Adam Wedge could get this horse in a really nice rhythm. He'll be nice and prominent. He'll appreciate the drying surface. I think at 66-1, he's a massive price. Especially now that he's got in. And another one that I do think, and this is ground dependent as well, and it is Galvin for the Elliots. Now, I really like this horse. And arguably, in my opinion, I watched the race back, the cross country, and for a horse that was his first go over the fences, I thought he jumped the best in the race by a mile. And he pinged absolutely everything. He came with his winning run. And it was just, I do believe that it was the ground and the hill mixed together. It's not a nice mix, and when he arguably wants better ground, he'll get that. He's got to appreciate this test of stamina. He'll definitely stay. He won a national chase, so listen,
what a way for D to go out as well. Imagine that.
Massive. And do you know what? It's a good sign as well that I think he has wanted to stay on board. I think if he wanted to ride something else, he would. But I do think that Galvin is a classy act. like I mentioned, the ground will most definitely suit him. And if he can get into a rhythm like he did at Cheltenham, I think he's got a huge chance. I'm not sure what price he is. I think he's around 20.
20s.
Is he around 20s?
Yeah.
That's a lovely price for a horse.
It is a big price. That
it's a lovely price. But those are the three back on the lash: Corach, Rambler, and Galvin.
Yeah, I say I'll concur those comments about Galvin. The person I speak to from the Gordon Elliott, as my camera shuts off, the person I speak to from the Gordon Elliott camp whenever I get a chance, he was the one who highlighted Mighty Potter to me before his Supreme run. Now, we best mention Mighty Potter. Very sad that what happened to him at the weekend. Real sad moment. Lovely horse, and our condolences to Connections there. He was the one who highlighted Mighty Potter to me going forward, saying that he could have been a Gold Cup horse. This was way back now, and I was talking to him after the cross country run, and he said to me, "Galvin's a Grand National horse if I've ever seen one." So it seems like there's a bit of confidence in the camp that Galvin could be running better. I'd say he'd come on for the run as well, plenty. Like, I think they had to hit every single marker for him to get into that cross-country race, and it was always Delta Works with the number one plan here. They hit the marks, they were happy to send him, but I say that he would be coming on for that run now. I say he wouldn't have too hard of a race. It was a Cheltenham Festival race. There's going to be some hardness to it, but I say the Grand National could be quite nice to him. 166 is the mark he's off. Going to be difficult now, but he's unexposed in handicap company. You don't know what he can do as a big sort of like top weight handicap carrier, So where plenty of these, you do know that they can carry this weight or they can't carry this weight. So I say there's plenty of positives to Galvin's side.
That's just one thing on what you just mentioned there, though, on his preparation. I mean, Delta Work is completely identical to Tiger Roll. Went to the is it the Boyne Hurdle, and then and then goes on to the cross country. Galvin at the start of the year was favoured for. He went off a silly price to win at Down Royal, I believe. Is it Down Royal?
Yeah. The Ladbrokes Champion Chase, I believe.
And got stuffed. He got absolutely stuffed. And then they're thinking, what do we do with this horse? Now, in an ideal world, you'd have had an identical preparation or a better preparation going into the cross country, and I think you'll probably see a better horse next year with this in mind. So, listen, if he doesn't go on to win the Grand National this year, I think this is one for those anti-post hunters.
These type of horses, the likes of a Neptune Calange or a Hedge Hunter, they have been also ran in a Gold Cup as well. They're very classy horses to then come.
Was he third or fourth? Was he
fourth in the Gold Cup.
He was fourth, but he was always staying. He was always staying on. So
the one thing I'll say about that is I've always thought he wants like a long trip, and the difficult with him off that mark is you can't send him into another handicap that isn't the Grand National, because he'll just handicap a Midlands. You can't send him there. You can't send him to a Scottish National. You can't send him. You can't send him to an Irish National, because they'll just handicap everything out of the race. But the Grand National is the one race he probably can get away with it, and he's always wanted that trip, and they're now sending him to that race. He's always been a Grand National horse. Elliott's always thought that he's a Grand National horse. He just happens to surprise them by beating Applutard in a Savills Chase, So I think there's plenty of upsides to him. There's plenty of upsides to the horse I am going to talk about. But before I talk about him, I caught up with the assistant trainer, James Griffin, obviously assistant to Patrick Griffin, who trains Roy Wamarge, as I've now been told, not Roy Marge, Wamarge, ahead of the Grand National. So joined here by assistant trainer to a Grand National runner in Wamarge, James Griffin, assistant to Patrick Griffin, the trainer. James, we're a couple of days away, from the Grand National. How are the nerves in the camp ahead of the run of your big lad?
To be straight with you, Ash, and thanks very much for having me on. Great show, as always. There's no nerves. This has been the plan since we bought him, so it's just quite nice to. I know we're still within 48 hours of D-Day, but we're basically there now, so he only has another canter to do, and then we're on our travels over.
And how has the work been ahead of the Grand National? I know you've been posting a couple of updates on Twitter, but nice to get it sort of from yourself, really.
Yeah, as I put up, it's Wamage Span, as I put up on Twitter. Look, everything has gone, since Down Royal, everything has gone well, touch wood, and it was just, our only hold-up was when he ran in Cheltenham. We thought the season was gone. He suffered an X-rated wound to a hind leg. The fall was bad enough, but the wound that he received, Ian Cam and the veterinary team in Cheltenham were brilliant. They attended him for 2 hours, and they put in between 30 and 35 stitches and staples. So we thought that was season over. But amazingly, he was back riding out 3 weeks later, albeit very steadily. And then he only kind of had, I think, 2.5 weeks to go to the Down Royal race. So he went into Down Royal very much undercooked. But thankfully, he's come out of that very well, and we've had a clear run to Saturday. And
let's talk a little bit more about that sort of Cheltenham run there. Like I had a couple of pennies on him that day, and I was watching him quite carefully, and I thought he took to the sort of the unique fences around Cheltenham on that cross country course quite well. And it was sort of a real shame when he fell. What was the assessment from your camp, sort of the race and of his spin around Cheltenham?
Of the race and the spin around Cheltenham, everything was very positive. Of the fall, it was an expletive that I won't repeat, but he was cantering, and I know I am a little bit at left field, as you can see with my jockey booking for Saturday, but we'll probably talk about that later on. Patrick Mullins rode him, and Patrick will be a good pal of mine. I've never used him, and I hope he will ride for me again in the future, even though we decked him. But he came in afterwards, and I thought, right, Patrick would ride the horse. Unfortunately, Reevely wasn't able to come over because it clashed with a race in France, so he had to go to France. Patrick rode the horse because he had been around the track, and I thought that meant more than putting up one of our own lads who hadn't ridden around that track. And in fairness, Patrick came in afterwards, and he didn't know about the cut, but he spoke to us afterwards in his debrief, and he said, I was cantering. He said, I was absolutely cantering. I know we were still about a mile from home, but he was going so easy. And Patrick said, stick him in March, and I'd love to ride him. And the fact that he wanted to ride him again, that's the positive that we took from there. But did you watch his race in France in the cross country?
I haven't been able to find a clip of it, but I've been searching around. What was it like? Because I saw he ran over there in last year.
Do you have the At the Races app?
I have got it on my phone. Yes, I'll check it out after this.
Yeah, if you go into that, you have to watch it.
Oh, fantastic.
That was his first cross country race, and we were taking on the leading 2 cross country horses in France. And he took to that like a duck to water. Like, we arrived on the Wednesday, he ran on the Friday, and I just rode him out on the Thursday morning. And there's an obstacle there. It's called the hole, and you just gallop along, and then it just drops about 4 foot, and you gallop. So you just kind of fall into it, gallop along it for 3 strides, and jump out of it. And I did it on my own, and he was a little bit stuttery at it and a bit stary at it. And then in the race, he winged into it, and he only did it in a stride and a half and out. And Reevely said he'd never been through that hole as quick in his life. So he seems very adaptable, and he had a school, as you saw on Twitter, on the Curragh the other day. But he took to the Compiègne cross country race very easily. He's jumped around Auteuil, touch wood. Aintree is not a worry or a concern.
And they sort of like the race planning is something that I sort of want to touch on. You know, like we were just speaking off camera there. I had my eye on him for the cross country in March, and you just said that it was never really in the planning. But when you picked him up in February 2022, he ran a Down Royal, as you said, and won. Then he went off and sort of had a little bit of a break, and then he came into the Grand Steeplechase cross country de Compagnie, as you said. So it's been some real, like, he's given you some amazing days already in this relatively short time that you've had him.
Yeah, he arrived on the 17th of December. 21.
Yeah.
And we gave him 2 weeks out. And then he came back in about the 3rd or 4th of January. And he started off in the Red Mills Hurdle against Tihupu. And we were only beaten 27 lengths. And the reason he did that was because when we bought him, I contacted the English handicapper, and he said, yeah, you're in the National. So that's fine. So we just gave him a spin over hurdles, stuck him into the National. The weights came out, and the handicapper had dropped us to 140. So we were like, oh, well, that plan A gone out the window. So then he went to Down Royal, and he was wrong with the weights with Sam Crow, and he beat him, and he went up £9 to 149, missed the National by 1, ran in the 3 mile grade 1 just because we were there, and it was always the intention to have a runner on that day. So he ran in that, which he wasn't prepped for that. So anyway, we ran him, and then the plan genuinely was to start off in Compiègne. That's why he went on a break straight away to come back in mid-July to go to France without a prep run.
It's a horse I've had my eye on for a while, and his run the last day, you know, like he was wrong at the weights there a little bit with a couple of nice horses that were they were touted for some big races there. It was a massive run the last day, and to finish second, I thought he had a great spin. It was a nice prep for Aintree and what's coming up.
Very much so. If we didn't have the hold up after Cheltenham, I would have been very confident that he would have won. going up there, I was confident of a good run. I just thought he might just need it because he hadn't had a school and he hadn't had a proper blow between the two runs. He was 16 pounds wrong with Longhouse Poet. He was wrong with basically everything in the race. Didn't concern me because he's never run in a handicap. So all of his form is in graded races where he would be wrong with horses or right with horses all the time. And Mark knew him. I was delighted to get Mark. He was hoping that he'd be in Cheltenham, but I was delighted that he actually went to Down Royal. And he jumped brilliant. He travelled probably a little bit too fresh. He overjumped the last, which I took as a positive. It just showed that he wasn't tiring. And I feel if we jumped the last like we jumped the second last, we would have won. So the fact that we are getting a 22-pound turnaround for a length and a quarter with Longhouse Poet, and he ran so well in last year's national, and he was hard fit going into that race, having only run a couple of weeks beforehand, although he unseated. Wherever Longhouse Poet is with luck and running, we won't be too far behind him or in front of him.
No, this is just music to my ears. This is the form I've been picking up on for a couple of months now, as people on my Twitter will know. We'll sort of come into the final couple of questions, and then I suppose we will touch on the jockey bookings. You were hoping to have James Revley booked on. He's still not going to be ready for the race, a little bit carrying an injury, and now you've got Felix de Giles. Was it always an easy decision to go over to Felix and ask him to have the ride in the big race?
Yeah, a little bit of backstory about that. We bought the horse. The horse was sourced by James for the owners, specifically for the national. And the deal was when he runs in the national, Revley rides. And as you know, James rode Maggio for us when he won at the Aintree Festival, and James has ridden quite a lot of winners for us, and he'd be a very good friend of mine. So like going to France to get Revley to ride him was fantastic, and it was a pity he didn't ride him in Cheltenham. But I was really looking forward to getting him for the national. And then he went and did a Jack Kennedy on the 18th of February. And he said, "Oh, I'll be all right. I'm after having it operated on. I should be back." And the big old toy meeting there the weekend just gone at Easter, that's what he was aiming for. And as I kept saying to anyone, the national is the bonus. He's not coming back for the national. He's coming back for the week before. But unfortunately, that was a no-go. But when he said that he was after getting injured, Douglas Pride and myself had a chat, and we put together plan B, because James was plan A. We put together plan B and plan C. And Felix de Giles was always plan B. I won't say who plan C was because I don't want to hurt his feelings.
I was just about to ask you.
After we win on Saturday, I don't want him to think that could have been him. But Felix, the fact that he's ridden the horse once, finished third on him. He's friends with James. I actually met him that day in Compiègne, and I've had a couple of dealings with him through his classic boots business. So I had his number in my phone, so I was able to give him a ring straight away. So there was that little bit of a connection. And the fact that he had ridden Neptune Equester in a national, who was subsequently bought by Jim Beaumont, who owns a part of Wild Mage, so there was a little bit of consistency there between horses and owners. And he's ridden in the Beecher Chase a couple of times, so he's familiar with the track, familiar with the horse, speaks the lingo. And that's, that was the swinging factor, the fact that because like if we went and got a French jockey who has ridden the horse, he's going to stare at me and I'm going to stare at him in the parade ring, and I will talk about his l'escargot and things like that. So that was never going to work. So Felix, very happy to have Felix. He rode a grade 3 winner there at the weekend on Lord Daresbury's horse in Auteuil. So he's a rider coming into the form. And when I rang him, I said, "Do you know why I'm ringing you?" He said, "No." So I just asked him straight out, would he like to ride the horse? And he said, "He'd absolutely love to. I'll clear it with my agent." He rang me back the next day and he said, "Yeah, I'd love to." So that's why Felix is on him. And people will look at that and go, where did that come from? But genuinely, we wanted someone who knew the horse and in an ideal world knew the track.
Now, bringing this all together, so we've gone through when you got him, all the runs you've had with him, the trip over to France, the jockey who knows him and will speak the lingo and knows the track a little bit as well. I was quite interested when Timeform did an interview with yourself, talking a little bit about it as well. Heading into Aintree, connections like to be, have their theories about their horses. They like to be positive, but it seems like there's a little bit of confidence about him. What do you rate? What would you be liking his chances to be like heading into the Grand National, which is always a competitive race? You don't know what's going to happen, but what would you be rating his chances in a big field like this?
I think it's a 40-1 shot, really, isn't it? I think no one could go there and say, "Oh, I have a horse that will win the Grand National." As I've said before in a couple of other interviews, there are 40 lottery tickets. We have a ticket. So that's number one. We're lining up, touch wood, that we get there on Saturday at 5 o'clock. There is a drop of rain. He'll enjoy the ground. He'll stay. Like, he won over the guts of 3-3 in Down Royal. He was third in the Grand Steep to Paris over 3-6. The trip shouldn't be a worry because he has a bit of class. He's able to travel. Shouldn't worry about a big field. So as long as he gets looking running, and, you know, my father always said about people driving cars, it's not you that causes an accident, it's someone else. So as long as another horse doesn't impede us or things like that happen, and he goes out in the second circuit, he has as good a chance as any other horse. And I think we're overpriced because of who he comes from and probably the way he's being campaigned. I think if he was trained by a more fashionable name, he would probably be half the odds, genuinely. And he has the class. Like, he's a multiple graded winner. So, you know, with luck and running, he really should have a chance of collecting prize money, the jockey weighing back in, and crossing the Melling Road heading for home, still getting a mention by the commentator. I think that's all you can hope for. The rest is lady luck.
I think that's what we can all hope for. James, thank you very much for coming on, and thank you very much for the interview. Wish you the best of luck with Wamage, as I've now been told his pronunciation. Good luck on the weekend.
You can call him what you like at 5:15 on Saturday, and come over to the party if wherever he's going to be paraded.
I'll call him a beauty if he gets anywhere near the frame, James, and already am. No, thank you very much for coming on. And
fingers crossed, and
on
thank you for all your support for him. So it's very much appreciated.
No worries, as my camera keeps switching off. Thank you very much, and enjoy Saturday.
Thanks, Ash. Thank you.
Yes, as James has said there's some absolutely big case to be made about Wamage. I put him up on Twitter, 150 to 1 earlier in the year. He's now as short as 50 to 1 there. He was 33 to 1. He was 33 to 1 at one point. I'll take it. That's fine. Put the hammer on me. But he's just been running extremely well. Like, he's just been a very, very good horse. He's been running out of the weights and running wrong at the weights so long. As I look to my notes here, when he won his first race for Connections that he's with now with Patrick Griffin and the team behind him, he won his first race down in Down Royal, and that was when he was 16 pounds wrong at the weights with Sam Crow, wrong at the weights with a lot in the race there. They then went to the Grand Steeplechase Cross Country to Compagnie. He ran a great race there. He was giving weight away to the second. He was giving weight away to the first. And what really caught my eye is that they were eyeing up for the Grand National last year, and they were balloted out by one. They're really hopeful of a big run last year, and he's in the same form as he was this time last year as well. He ran a fantastic race on trials day for the cross country, going absolutely brilliantly under Patrick Mullins, and just unfortunately fell. He took the fence extremely well, but in the race he's had over the cross country courses, that and the Grand Steeplechase cross country over in France, like, he's just ran absolutely brilliantly. And those cross country races over in France, they are an absolute nightmare. You see some of them, there's those hills that just go up and up and up. You know, like, it's an absolute whirlie of a course.
Yeah,
and
put that one on ITV.
Have some of that. No, but he's just been running amazingly well. I think the run the last day as well was incredible. Like, he had to give Longhouse Poet. He was so wrong at the weights of Longhouse Poet, and there's plenty of good judges now who are putting Longhouse Poet up with the £5 claim they had on that day. Wamage was just so wrong at the weights. He had to give £5 to Longhouse Poet. Burrows Saint was in behind him in third. If he jumped the last like he did all the other fences, he probably would have won that day. And he still had to come on a little bit because they had a cut that James I think explains there. He had a cut sort of on his leg after the fall in the cross country. And it was sort of like they wanted to get him back for that and make sure he's okay. But Aintree's always been the plan. The confidence since talking to James has just been brimming and brimming, and it's finally hit a high point now. I'm confident of a big run, and I hope he's the captain. He's the number one. He's the one that cannot fail. Of course, he can fail.
James was actually on the Cheltenham preview night that I spoke on up in Newcastle, and he actually he mentioned this horse. This is Giveaway horse, and he mentioned this horse, and he was very keen on him. So. Yeah, good luck to Connections for that one.
You would never live it down if this wins. You would never, ever.
Do you know what? It's gonna be the first thing in my Twitter bio if it wins, and I do not care as well. I actually do not care as well. No, look, it'd be massive. I'm hopefully going to be able to watch it in some capacity.
150 to 1 double if this if Corach wins. Corach or Wamage, as you call it.
Yeah, it'll be massive. It'll be massive whatever happens. I just wish them the best of luck, and I just hope the horse gets around safely. Good luck to connections there. I have got a team though, as with the Grand National, you've got to have a couple more. And as our Grand National video that we did, where it's just myself and Harry, I talked about a couple of horses there, and I'm still quite keen on Eight Out of Shame. Sorry, for Henry de Bromhead. Won well in a prep run the last day. That was over 2.5 miles, just to get a nice little fitness run into the horse. Ran very nicely there. Won as you liked. Was fourth in the Paddy Power Chase, trying to make all there. Just got done the line by a couple of nice horses, but was staying on. Was weaving a little bit as well. I don't know if that was greenness or idle a little bit, but was weaving a little bit towards the finish there, but did stick on again. So I thought that was a real promising run in the Paddy Power. Was second to the Big Dog when there's a £3 swing as well in its form book. That was when there's £3 between the horse. There's now £13 in between the horses there. So there's a big sort of swing in the weight. So as you can see my scribbled handwriting here, I'm trying to work out my own handwriting. But I think he's got a massive chance, about 25 to 1, I want to say. I also think that I've got to give a shout to Mr. Incredible. He's probably the shortest price horse in my team. Look, we know there's much knownness to what he's like. He's refused to race. He's pulled himself up. He's jumped fences just in the most acrobatic way you could think of. But I think he's actually grown up a ton. Like since running the last couple of runs, that classic chase run where they had really had to settle him down. He came from a different county. He came from Gloucestershire rather than Warwickshire in that classic chase one to finish second behind. The name will come to me now. I Will Do It. Won the race. I thought it was an absolutely massive run. Then went on to the Kim Muir again, just completely rode like cold as anything by Patrick Mullins. Always the plan with that horse because they don't want to get him lit up. And look, if it was a different scenario, it's a different personality of a horse. If they rode him differently, he might have been a bit closer and been a bit more of a chance. But they have to run him cold like that. And unfortunately, in the Kim Muir, the line just didn't come. There wasn't a long enough run in for the line for him. With a national, you've got all day to go for it. So I think he's got to have a massive chance, Mr. Incredible. And I will still go with Hill 16 as well. That'll be my final horse to talk about. I thought it was a real nice run behind Into Overdrive. His form this season, that horse has improved plenty now. So Hill 16 is probably the biggest.
What price is Hill 16?
80 to 1. So have a nice shout on that, and we'll see. But that's our Grand National teams, ladies and gentlemen. Fingers crossed we found something, and fingers crossed we can at least find a place to.
What's your 1, 2, 3? We'll do a 1, 2, 3.
All right, we'll recap. So we'll go Lee first of all. 1, 2, 3.
Corach Rambler, Delta Work, and I'll take. Which one am I going to take? The Big Breakaway for third.
Lovely, Harry.
I'll go Corach Rambler will win. I think Back on the Lash will be second and Galvin third.
Lovely stuff. I'll go Wamage number 1. I'll go Galvin second. So I'll agree with Harry there. And Ain't That a Shame? I'll go in third. I think that's got a big one.
These trifectas must be absolutely flying it.
It's like the trifecta from the Honeysuckle Grade 1 on the weekend, Harry. That was that was what, 16 grand or something.
I'm sick from that. But what a shout! What a shout, by the way.
Oh no, thank you. It was nice, but it was a brilliant ride from Aidan Kelly. I thought fantastic ride. Lovely stuff. So we're going to go now, gentlemen, and we're going to have to be speedy on this. We've got plenty of Grade 1s to go through and handicaps. The first race that kicks off the weekend is the Grade 1 Manifesto Novices Chase. Protectorate won it 2 years ago. Don't even remember who won it last year. Oh, it was Miller's Bank, was it, that won it last year, I want to say. And we've got a field of 5 declared for the race, so it's maybe potentially not a vintage renewal, but Stage Star topping the market, 13 to 8. Banbridge is a shade bigger, 7 to 4. Samoa 10 to 3. Visionarian 20. Strawfan Jack 25s. John Bond was entered for this race. Everything seemed like they were going for this. Nicky Henderson said in his post-race comments, we're going to the 2.5 miler, and they've not declared it. So it's very interesting to see why they haven't done that. Harry, come over to you first. What do you like in the Manifesto?
Oh, it was just a Grade 2 last year, wasn't it? Miller's Bank, Pick Dorhey was in there. I did my brains on Pick Dorhey, so for Cobden
and then it won lots of races this season. Oh, that's a real shame, isn't it, Harry?
Yeah, it is. But to be fair, he's landed his fair share for me this year, which I'm very, very happy about. But I will be going away from Stage Star in this race, and I just think Banbridge has the class to win this. I mean, he bounced last year. Arguably, he was sent off, I think, 5 to 2. He won his Martin Pipe, went straight to I think it was a 3 miler that he ran in. I think behind Gelino Bello.
It
I
was.
think
It was in the 3 miler.
Bello
Yeah,
won.
the 3 miler. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he just bounced there, but I'm glad he skipped Cheltenham. Obviously, he was a late non runner because of the ground, and he just looks. He's so classy. His 2 mile 40 is clearly his trip. This flat track Aintree, I think, will suit him. He's a good jumper, and I think if he gets in a rhythm, because Stage Star, listen, he got it easy at Cheltenham last time.
Yeah.
Banbridge won't be far off the lead. If he replicates his Cheltenham run, he was bang at it. He put the others under pressure, and Stage Star wasn't put under pressure at Cheltenham. So I think they're probably right favourites on what they've seen so far. Stage Star won really impressively last time at the festival, but I think this is Banbridge's to lose at this trip. Ground won't be that bad. I think he's a massive player because Joseph always likes a winner at Aintree.
Yeah, it's difficult this about the ground because this is very ground dependent horse. If it turns up good to soft, which is looking likely it will be, or anything better, hopefully anyway. Banbridge the one for me. I did these notes before John Bon was taken out, and Banbridge was still the one. That form with El Fabiolo in the Irish Arkle was very nice. I thought he ran a fantastic race there. The better ground is key. And the one thing I do like, I know he's the racing manager, he sorts out the horse for Joseph, but he doesn't always fancy the Joseph O'Brien horse. But when Kevin Blake gives a nice word to a Joseph O'Brien horse, I always sit up and take note. Now, that could be completely wrong for me, and Kevin, please do message me if I've got that absolutely wrong. But whenever he gives a nice word to a Joseph horse, I like to sort of keep that in the reckoning. It seems like this is he fancies Banbridge for this race, so I'm not one to disagree with that one. And Banbridge for me in the Manifesto. Lee, yourself, what is it for the trio in the Manifesto?
Banbridge for me as well. I thought. Look, Stage Star beat the likes of Mighty Potter. Obviously, we echo your thoughts about Mighty Potter, but he beat him in the Turners. And like Harry says, though, he did get a kind of a freebie up front. He jumps well, though. I think it'll still be the same scenario. I think he'll be out in front. Banbridge is a good jumper, though. Like you say, he come home like a train behind El Fabiolo. He went on and won the Arkle at Cheltenham. I think that's probably the best form in there, I would have said. Santroy, he come home well in the Arkle, and he did so as well in the champion hurdle behind Honeysuckle when he ran in that as well. I do think he'll probably appreciate that. Obviously, they could have ran JP, could have ran John Bon in this. They've chosen to go with Santroy. I think it's between the two, Banbridge and Santroy for me, but I'd definitely take Banbridge over him. So yeah,
I think the forecast. I genuinely think the forecast, Lee, is a big player here. You've got Santroy in the Arkle was ridden to get a place. Was ridden to get second if best. Obviously, Dysart fell, and John Bon was arguably coming to the end of his tenure. He just isn't as good as what I hoped he was. But Santroy was ridden. If he was ridden positively and do you know what to fulfill his best finishing position? I know obviously that's a little bit of a grey cloud. Yeah. He'd be a big player, I think.
Yeah, look, I thought it was 8-1 yesterday before the decks. He's now into 11-4. I was worried about John.
Is that because John Bon's come out? Is that John Bon's come out?
But they've cut the race up. But I think John Bon will go to the 2 mile on Saturday. I think so. But I was just worried about John Bon coming here and trying to step up. I didn't think he ran a great race the last twice there. Even in the Arkle, he didn't jump right and stuff like that. And I thought Santroy was going to be the one to pick up the pieces at 8. But the more you look at it, the form with El Fabiolo, I think Banbridge is definitely the one. So Banbridge and Santroy for us, I would have said, the forecast.
Yeah, trio of Banbridge fancies though for the race. The Grade 1 juvenile hurdle, the 4-year-old hurdle there at Aintree. We'll have a little look at this one. Zenta 7-4, Bo Zenith 5s, Nusray 11-2, Grey Val 8, Scriptwriter 9s. Harry, I'm going to actually come to you first because I remember from long ago you said.
Have I not said this horse would win this race for years now, for months?
Go on then. If you get rid of him now, that'll be the worst bit of anything that you've done ever, really. So you best be a scriptwriter now.
Oh, 100%, 1,000,000%. What is he 9-1? I think he's 9. Oh my God, what a price!
He treated nothing, isn't he, Harry?
No, he's a nose bet. He is an absolute nose bet. this won't go to the stewards like last year when Night Salute won it.
Yeah.
But Milton Harris has always said that this horse is better than Night Salute, and for a horse, for many of these coming from the Triumph, Zenta's come from the Triumph, tough race, jumped much better than she did on a hurdling debut. I thought was a different horse, but I just think now that scriptwriter's been fresh, Miss Cheltenham. This is the plan all along. I've told everybody this was the plan all along, and I just think this horse will win, and win doing cartwheels at that as well.
This is going to look really bad when it finishes 9th. Harry, no, not Harry, Lee. I'll come to you now. Are you concurring with the thoughts of Big Harold down there, or are you looking elsewhere?
I am. I'm with the beard. Come on, scriptwriter. I thought he was an each way, good player each way at 9s. I'm just, it's hard for Zenta to back it up. I would have said, I think scriptwriter has a bit more battle hardened. Nusri, I do like that horse. Just in that Kempton race, nothing went right for scriptwriter, and I think coming here fresher, I think scriptwriter at 9-1 each way is a good play.
Yeah, like I'm not going to put scriptwriter up, but there's a part of me that wants to back it each way. No, I am with Zenta here.
For God's sake!
Look, that form is just, you can't, like, the only issue is if there's a bounce here. That's the only issue, and I am going to be taking the Cheltenham form with caution. I was caught out quite strongly last year by trying to back these Cheltenham horses that were looking to bounce back, and I was caught out a little bit now. And look, you're looking at a 4-year-old, a filly. You think maybe she might just, may bounce a little bit, but I'm willing to keep the faith in the fact that I think the form is just too strong. Lossymouth is a nice horse. Gala Marceau in second is a really nice horse. I think quite smart going next season.
Back the form up, yeah.
Yeah, Blood Destiny backed the form up. So, Blood Destiny was second.
Are you for real?
That was
Blood Destiny. Blood Destiny ran second. Was it close second in that Grade 1 there?
That wasn't a Grade 1 though, was it? Come on.
Look, he's done fair enough to back the form. He's done better than the back in the form than what scriptwriter's done. He's beaten the worst of the English there, and the English is not very good this year.
Yeah.
So look,
Milton,
Blood Destiny,
we trust.
Blood Destiny's done half a job of franking the form. It's not obviously massively franking the form. It's done half a job, and I'll be with Zenta for me. Short price, nothing fancy, but there you go. The Aintree Bowl. It's under new ownership this year. It was the Betway Bowl, as I sort of known it as. It's now the Older Hay Aintree Bowl. So there you go. The Grade 1, Brave Man's Game topping the market 11-4. Shishkin, Freeze, Aplutar, former Gold Cup winner, 7-2. Conflated 5s. Ahoy Senor with Brian Hughes 11-2, and Galore rounds the field off at 80s. Lee, for the bowl, what do you fancy in this one?
I think Ahoy Senor can go in for this one. I think there's quite a few that's got a tough race. I think Brave Man's Game had a tough enough race in the Gold Cup. I think Shishkin had a similarly tough race. Didn't get into a rhythm. Obviously a classy horse. I love Shishkin, but stepping up again in trip, and also I think was a tough enough race in that ground. And I just think Ahoy Senor obviously come down, but he didn't get a tough race because his race was kind of over at halfway. So you come here a bit fresher than those ones, and I think back to the scene of the crime. Obviously, he bolted up last season at Aintree. Brave Man's Game didn't go there and was well tailed off. I think he'd be a different animal this season. And obviously going there, I don't think it'll be a problem for Brave Man's Game, but I just think the Gold Cup run would have taken something out of him. So I think a Ahoy Senor at 5s, and I would say Conflated is probably overpriced at 5s as well. He ran a close race in this last season, and he ran a good race in the Gold Cup, but just whether they've left their marks, that's a question for me, and maybe he's a bit fresher, would be a Ahoy Senor. So I'll take a Ahoy Senor for Brian Hughes now as well.
The only thing worrying about me with Conflated is the ground. They wouldn't want it too good now. I say they just want a nice bit of ground, like good to soft ground, be fine. But yeah, I think Conflated is overpriced here. And the one thing that's given me sort of like benefits about him to back up from Cheltenham to Aintree is he did it last year. He fell in the Ryanair 2 out, and then he ran a cracking race in this race last year to run into a Clan Zobo who was on massively on his game last year. I thought he ran an absolute belter in the Gold Cup for having Sam Ewing on. He only knew he was taking the ride when he sat down having a cup of coffee in the weighing room, you know. So like it was a massive run in the Gold Cup. Brave Man's Game, you saw that he was all fit, he was all, you know, ripened up for the Cheltenham run last year. Didn't run, then he's come to Aintree and fairly underperformed. You know, can he back up a massive Gold Cup run and then come into a bowl? I also think the track's going to suit Conflated just a touch better now. Like 3 miles, flat track. It's a bit of a speedier one than the Gold Cup. I think that's going to be right up his street. Can't believe he's 5-1, really. I can't believe there's Shishkin ahead of him, to be honest. And look, Shishkin could put egg on my face by the time this race is over. But I can't believe that Shishkin in a poor enough Ryanair now, like it was a good if it was a fair enough Ryanair, but it's not a vintage Ryanair, I don't think anyway. For not winning that, I know he got trouble in running and belted the fence, but for not winning that and then coming in here at a new trip and this completely like this horse that you have to catch on the right day is shorter than Conflated. That doesn't make sense personally in my head. So Conflated for me, but Harry's faces at the bottom there. I can only assume now by power of deduction you're a Shishkin fan.
Well done. You've just spent 2 minutes and you have now got egg on your face because Shishkin will win this race. Because I said it after on our Cheltenham review video that I don't think that Cheltenham suits this horse. I just don't think. I think he is a flat track horse. He's so much better. He was so good at Ascot.
A supreme Anarcha winner.
I know.
And you said Ascot, you would not win at Ascot as well.
I got that wrong because I didn't think he'd fire back. But listen, yes, he's won the Supreme, and yes, he's won an Arkle. But then I don't think that he shows his best performance. He would show his best performance at Cheltenham. I think a course like Aintree is much more up his street. He's already won here before, if I'm right in saying. Didn't he win the race after the Arkle when he came in? He beat the Venetia horse.
Yeah, he didn't exactly do it that smartly, though, did he?
Yeah, but he just stayed on. Listen, 3 miles was always going to be this horse. He was rumored to be a Gold Cup horse, isn't he? So I just think Shishkin, if he gets into a rhythm, I think he will around this course. It won't be bad ground. I just can't see how I can't have Brave Man's Game for the life of me because for another one that I did my brains on last year and he cost me because he just bounced. And I think that'll be the case again this year. Conflated, good horse, but then he was beaten fair and square last year. He came with a winning run and he just got beaten.
Oh, I don't know if he's beaten. I don't know if he was beaten fair and square now.
I think
he came from a different parish to finish second that day.
But then if he comes from a different parish against better horses this year, are you saying that Clanders Oboe is a better horse than Brave Man's Game, Shishkin, and then Hoysenor as well?
Because he was trained for that race. Clanders Oboe was trained for that race. He won the Punchdown Gold Cup, and I think Conflated just got too far behind. And I think, look, if a couple more yards after the line, he would have been won.
He's not better. He's not better than these horses as Clanders Oboe, but on his day, when trained by the best target trainer there is in the lands, he is mustard.
And Conflated might be better than these, I would have said.
Well, listen, we'll beg to differ here, but I just think Shishkin will win. So, listen, there's your double. Shishkin and Script Rider.
Blimey, Harry with the doubles. They work out, amazingly well all of the time. The Grade 1 Aintree hurdle, we'll talk about this very briefly. Constitution Hill wins. I don't want anything about this. He's an amazing horse. Fantastic stuff. What finishes second? All right, we'll go what finishes second. Harry, you have an idea as he changes their pot? I'll go Lee. What finishes second in the Aintree hurdle?
I think Zanihial finished second. I think Constitution Hill will win over 10 length. I didn't think it'll be 10 length in the champion hurdle because State Man is in, but none of these behind are a State Man. So I think I win over 10 length, and I think Zanahi will pick up the pieces because the mare bombed out the last day. So Zanahi for second.
Thank you, Harry.
No, I disagree. I'd go the other way. I think Constitution Hill.
I think Zanahi is going to beat Constitution Hill. Wow,
no, as in you shut up, you twat. Epatante. I think Epatante will beat Zanahi into second and third. I think. Listen, Epatante beat Zanahi fair and square. I know people, especially Simmons, is going to be saying that Zanahi wasn't coming to the end of his.
Oh, have we lost him? Has he gone? Has the
You
lodge
put
that
him
he's
off.
held up in?
Well, I think I've cut off.
No,
Have I
there he
cut
is.
off?
He's back
Have I
now.
cut-
I think you were
I'm
saying
back.
10
We
year.
were going
and
where
to
then
did you
you
get
went
there.
Where did you catch me from?
top 10 year. Go
Yeah,
on.
the end. He was. He was.
Look,
He was
who
coming
finished
to
in second?
his-
How many legs? Let's go.
Epiton 20.
Nice. I'm gonna go. I like to move it, and I don't really
We'll
care
give
about
you
length.
3 there out of the 5.
There you go. Well done. Pick who you think's best. There's no more. Am I right in saying there's no more graded race on the first day?
No.
That's right in saying.
There's not.
Lovely stuff. We're going to do all the handicaps, any handicap fancies at the end. Day 2 of the Grand National meeting starts off with the Grade 1 Mildmay Novices Chase. An interesting contest this for a number of reasons. Jerry Colon tops the market 7-4 after his second in the Brown Advisory. Same connections, different trainer for Journey With Me, 5-2. Bron, who was running a fantastic race in the Brown Advisory for a while, 9-2. Complete Unknown, 8. You can have what you like about the rest. I'll go Lee first of all, because there's a horse in here that you're a big fan of in Jerry Colom. Are you still with him for Aintree now?
I'd definitely be with him if he went. Yeah, I think he's the classiest in this by a long way. I would have said it's just what the weather does. If it dries out, it's obviously a bit detrimental to him. But I don't think he's as ground dependent as people say. Good to soft or anything. Worse probably would be up his street. But whether they take the chance, yeah, I just think he's definitely the classiest in it. If he doesn't go, City Chief, I think, would run a good race for Nicky Henderson. He wants all of this 3 mile one, so he'd be the one I'd take if Jerry didn't go. But I love Jerry and I'll not desert him.
Lovely stuff. Harry for the Mildmay. What do you fancy?
I'd leave this race for me. I think the favourite's short if he goes. Is he as good as what we think he is? I know me and you are basically on that same.
Of course he is.
Same boat. But listen, he didn't jump well last time
Look,
out. I thought he should have won. He should have won, but he didn't. And that is my thing. He should have won, and he didn't. So it's I'm willing to leave him.
If my
price.
sister
I'm
had
happy to
wheels,
leave
should
it.
be a bike. That's the type of thing, isn't it? Like,
well, you said he'd lap that shite field before we actually came on there, so
I think I did not. He definitely lapped these. Some of these are bad in behind. Like the rest of the field isn't a strong field, I would have said, and I think he's definitely the classiest in them. I know you said about the jumping and stuff, but look, class will definitely prevail. I don't think he's a terrible jumper, like.
I think this is deja vu to when we talked about the Brown Advisory. He'll beat all of these. There's not many good horses in this field, and then a certain Whacker.
He's beaten the nose, God.
Whacker. Oh yeah, but Whacker was going away at the line. He never would have got
No, Jerry was tanking up the line.
Look, it's a no play race from an anti-post perspective for me, because there is one horse I'm quite interested in, but I dropped Paul Nichols a message earlier just asking if Fabulous is an intended runner. He is dependent on ground. If it gets sort of better ground, they'll go. If it's soft ground, they won't. If I see at 10:01 that McFabulous is declared, I will back him. Because I thought he was a world beater at Newbury when he won when we were there, Harry. I thought he was like the easiest Brown Advisory winner you could see in your life.
Well, that form's
and then
done well.
Look, if things just didn't go for him, like he lost in the Corto Star and then he pulled up at Newbury the next day. I expect that he'll come on better for this race. They've obviously skipped Cheltenham with him, and I remember speaking to Harry Cobden and said it's probably the best novice chaser they have in the yard. I know they haven't got vintage crop of novice chasers, but he's a nice horse now. I'd be taking him over.
What about Jerry
Colom?
Would you take him?
Yes, but there's a caveat here. There's a caveat here, right?
You like the real Whacker. You're strong on the real Whacker going forward.
Yeah.
He's just been touched off. I think he should have won, and you would still not go.
It's like me. It's like me going to a football game and like violently supporting Liverpool. I just cannot do it for the life of me. They could be playing Southampton, and I would just not even raise a voice to cheer him home. Look, I can't have Jerry Colom. I didn't like his jumping at Cheltenham. I suppose I get a little bit of what Harry's saying there. Like he, on paper going into it, he's probably the best horse, and he still didn't get the job done. And I think conditions really went for him that day. So I personally can't have him. There's a caveat to this race, and it's not an anti-post race playing at all. I think if If it's good ground, McFabulous. If it's bad ground, I'll be backing Gallia de la Toe. So there you go, 2 ends of the spectrum. That's what I'll be doing with the race, but it will be a playing on the day kind of style. The Top Novices Hurdle, the Poundland Top Novices Hurdle, as it's sponsored, is the next grade 1. It's found a 55 to 1 in the pocket, same price. Lucia just a shade at 11 to 2. You Wear It Well 13 to 2, though I think she's got entry for another race. Altabelli, sorry, for Harry Fry 9 to 1. I'll go Harry first of all. What do you like for the Top Novices Hurdle?
Yeah, big price in this one, and it was actually the best of the British in the Supreme, whatever there was. I think he was 9th or 8th. Strong leader for the Ollie Murphy team. Now, this horse is a good horse. He's won here before impressively as well. Returns obviously to Aintree. I don't think he ran a bad race in the Supreme, but I think that people knocking the Supreme form, I think that will turn out to be a very strong race next year. I just think that Strong Leader is a class act. You've got horses in there that could bounce and that might not even fire on the day. So I think at a massive price, I think this horse is definitely being overlooked. Back to a track that he will most certainly appreciate. I mean, he's won at Southwell and Aintree. Going from Southwell to a Supreme isn't exactly everyone's cup of tea route for a Supreme. But it's definitely going to help him in a race like this. Flat track, quick ground. Well, not quick ground, but a quick tempo. Good jumper. I think he's got a big chance.
No, it's a very interesting horse. The horse I had on my radar for the Supreme. I think he could be quite a smart one. Lee, for the Top Novices Hurdle, what do you fancy?
I thought strongly that did have a chance. It's probably a race I'd dodge. I thought Founder 50 is classy enough. Second to Corbett's Cross just beat. Corbett's Cross was in the process of running a good race in the Bartlett. And I think that horse is a very classy horse, Corbett's Cross. So Founder 50, I think, is probably the right favourite. Would I have a bet in the race? Maybe I'll have a look on the day, but not now.
Yeah, I'm with Founder 50 on this. I think I can back him. 5 to 1's fine by me. Similar form lines. Corbett's Cross is a very smart animal, I think. Running a fantastic race in the Bartlett.
He was beat in the Bartlett. He was beat.
Look, I'm not saying
he was beat, but he's definitely probably the classiest in there, I would have said.
Yeah, I think he was class, and look, he may not have won, but I think that form is probably very strong in a field like this. Henry de Bromhead seems to think that in the pocket's a 2-miler. You know, I think he has entries for the 2.5-miler as well, depending on which race they go to. I prefer in the pocket in the 2.5. I don't think he's an out-and-out 2-miler. Lucia would worry me after a run at Cheltenham like that. She wasn't maybe what people thought. You Wear It Well is looking like going elsewhere. There's a lot in here that don't have double entries, but there's one horse that doesn't. It's Founder 50. I think his form's nice. He was very good in a bumper. He's got an interesting pedigree. Like he's by a horse called Solskjaer, who's only produced 6 horses. Did win a Grade 2 at the Curragh as a 4-year-old. So he's not exactly got the biggest sort of like best pedigree in the world, but I think he's progressive. I think he's versatile on most bits of ground. He beat Parmenion in a maiden hurdle, which ran to an RPR of 145. You barely see horses get a 145 RPR in maiden hurdles. His second Corbett's Cross, an RPR of 151. I think he's quite smart. So Founder 50 for me in the Top Novices Hurdle. And we'll go to the next race, and it's a bit one we might have a touch of debate on. The Grade 1 Marsh Chase. Pick Dorhey 2 to 1 topping the market. Fakir Duderi, last year's winner, 9 to 4. Hitman for Paul Nichols in there. Same trainer as Pick Dorhey, 5 to 1. Fugitive 9s. Miller's Bank won at the meeting last year, same price, 9 to 1. Harry, I know you have a strong fancy in this. What do you like?
Yeah, it'd be Fakir. He just comes alive at Aintree. This race is his own. Pick Dorhey, I know, obviously beat the horse at Ascot when they last met. Fakir was obviously a little bit disappointing, but was it the ground that went against him? I'm pretty sure that the ground was going against him all day. And I just think it just paid dividends in the end. And listen, Shishkin was a runaway winner in that race, but Fakir just comes alive at Aintree. There's horses for courses, and this horse is most certainly suited by Aintree. Last year's winner, Pick Dorhey, flopped. I've already mentioned this on the video. Flopped last year. He did flop.
I don't know if he flops. He ran a crack over race and just got beaten by a very good Shishkin.
No, in this.
No, the last season
in
in
the
Aintree.
last season.
Oh, sorry, misread you there completely.
He got beat by Miller's Bank, and if Miller's Bank wins this, I will
Eat your hat.
Yeah, but he's a better horse this year, though. Pictori, he's a much better horse.
Oh,
He's matured really nicely, and he's a lovely
He
horse
has,
now.
but is he still a Grade 1 winner? Is he?
No.
Is he?
Mr. Fisher, he's another Mr. Fisher.
No, I do agree. He is a high class Grade 2 horse.
I'm glad you agree this time.
He will win most Grade 2s thrown at him, and then if a Grade 1 is a poor renewal, Miller's Bank, for example, if this race was run last year, in with the likes of Miller's Bank, etc., it absolutely destroy them. But with the likes of Fakir in here, on his A game, is a different kettle of fish, and I just think this horse at 9-4 is an absolute gift from the gods.
I'd like to make a comment about Fakir Didaris. I don't think he's as good as he was last year. I think he's at least he 163.
Simple.
He's 163. I'd say he's £7 below his best of last year. I really don't think he's firing on all cylinders this year. Like that win where he picked up where Horton Color was absolutely dancing. Horton Color hasn't exactly done much to frank the form, and I don't think he was really on top form that day, and he hasn't produced when running behind Shishkin that day. I don't know. I just don't think I can back Fakir in a field like this. Lee, what do you think of this field?
Pictori is a horse I just can't warm to. I've mentioned it a few times. I can't get away with him. I think he's a Grade 2 horse at best. He may go and win this, but I'm with Harry Fakir. I think that running behind the likes of Galloping Deschamps, Allaho, I think the Ascot race, he didn't run a great race in it, even when he won it last season. He missed Cheltenham and then he's brought it up in here, and he obviously ran a lesser race behind Shishkin and Pictori in Ascot the last day, but I just think he is a lot classier than the likes of Pictori, and I think going for the treble in the race, missing Cheltenham, Fakir wins.
To your surprise, Harry, I'm not with Pictori in this race. I'm with his stablemate, Hitman. Yeah,
he ran a good race the last day.
He's got a decent chance.
Look, yeah. I don't know if he's going.
He's definitely better than Pictori. Anyway,
I agree.
Look, I just think that he's a very nice horse now at his trip. Like, I haven't messaged Paul to know if he's going or not. I kind of assume he is, but he ran a crack of a race in the Ryanair. The race before he ran in the King George, it was very, very promising. It may not have been a massive field or anything like that, but it was a good run. Obviously, then he's gone to the King George, not produced his best stuff, and then at Newbury, he's lost again to Zanza. How Zanza's won a Denman, we'll never know. And then he's run a crack of a race.
For courses, Ash.
That'll go on our big score sheet. That horses for courses.
Horses for courses. He's run a crack of a race. Was it second to in the hand? Was it a handicap at the start of the season? Please, someone help me out.
Riders on the Storm.
That's it. Riders on the Storm. When he was second in that. Was that Aintree? Yeah, in the old road. So he's got nice course form. He was a massive weight carrying performance there. I think he's got absolutely a belt of a chance here. So I'll go 5-1 Hitman. I'll be quite interested to be taking him. We'll then go over to the Sefton, the final Grade 1 on the second day at Aintree. It's a race won last year by Paul Nicholls with Gelino Bello, and Hermes Allen is topping the market at 7-2. Don't know whether he's going to the race or not. Absolute Notions 9-2. Iroko, Martin Pipe winner 6s. Maximilian 6-1. Stay-Away Faye 6-1. Although Stay-Away Faye is going to go to Punchestown at the moment, from what I've been told from Paul Nicholls. 7's about the rest. Lee, what do you like in the Sefton?
I think Maximilian's a hardy horse. If I had to be, good to be head and choose one, I'd take him. But I'd leave this race. I don't think I'll even have a bet on the day, to be honest.
Thank you very much. Harry, do you have anything for the Sefton that you fancy?
Oh, well, I've got to mention, obviously, for those that do obviously follow me, you will know that I do write for the Old Gold Racing newsletter, and Old Gold's star girl, Appleway, is going here for Lucinda and Scoot. Listen, she's so good. She's so game. And this 3-mile trip, this extra 3-mile distance, is just right up her street. She's just gallops and gallops and gallops. Now, she doesn't have a turn of foot from what I've been told and from what I've saw, but she's just got such a high cruising speed that horses can't live with her. and she's now backing up. She's won a listed race at Doncaster. People said that it wasn't the greatest races. It probably wasn't, but She's a Saint was beaten by the eventual Mayor's Novices winner at Sandown. She finished in front of a decent horse of Elliott's in that race. So the form can be upgraded. I think she's definitely worth taking a chance on. She definitely deserves to be in this field, especially with the likes of those towards the front of the market with questions to answer. And another good thing.
A quick one there, Harry. So is it Patrick Wadge? Will he take the ride with obviously Derek Fox maybe saving himself for the Grand
I'd
National?
probably say
Brian Hughes will probably rate Maximilian. So
yeah, I'm not too sure, but obviously Patrick has won on her before. Obviously Derek's already basically I doubt he'll be riding for the first couple of days until the big one. But Lucinda's not sending many horses here. She's sending the likes of a Hoy Senior, Corach Rambler. Is a small but select team, and the fact that she's taken a chance says to me, well, I already know she's thought of a lot, and I think she's got a big chance. So Apple away for the Old Gold Syndicate, which will, I'm sure the most definitely will be a few glasses of champagne if she was to go on.
No, she's a cracking horse. I know photographer Tracy Roberts, a fantastic photographer, does photos for Paul Nichols. She is part of the syndicate for the horse, and I talked to her plenty of time, and she's really excited about this horse going forward. So I wish the Old Gold members best luck there. There's two in here actually I think quite strong bets for me. Probably one of my stronger bets of the week. Absolute Notions. I'll be getting stuck into him at 9-2. I think his Dublin Racing Festival race is just like it's fantastic form. You know, he ran a great race. Goodland was in there, Ballymore fourth, Sandor Clegane was in there, Bartlett third. Then when a different race was third to him in the pocket, who was a supreme fourth, Deeply Superficial, who ran in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle, and then that was third, and then won a race since. So I think the form line's working out really well. I think he's fairly versatile on most grounds. Good to soft will be fine. Softer is even fine as well. So I think he's going to be nice at 9-2, and I'll go Search for Glory at a massive price. Jigginstown 33-1. He was a horse that I was with for the Bartlett. He ran a great race behind Monty Star and Hidden Valley Lake the last day when receiving weight. In fairness, he had Davey on that day. Now Davey wasn't right that day. He stood himself down, obviously from the Gold Cup. This is the final horse he rode at Cheltenham. It was going well, and then just completely dropped out like a light. I have no idea what happened. Maybe the hustle and bustle of a Bartlett, it was a weird Bartlett. In fairness, like it wasn't the most like it wasn't like a normal race. It was a fairly weird Bartlett, and I think I can put a line straight through that. I think his form with Monty Star and Hidden Valley Lake is quite nice. Thought he ran an absolute belter race, jumped and picked up lengths at every single hurdle. I think a track like this could suit quite well. So I'll be with Search for Glory at 33-1, but I'm stronger on Absolute Notions, I must say. Lovely stuff. Moving on to the final day of the Grand National meeting, we've already covered the big race of the day, the Grand National. We'll talk about the Grade 1 races around it. And the Grade 1 Maghull Novices Chase is the first race on the Saturday. No prices as we record on Tuesday evening. It's a fluctuating market. Banbridge is in there, though. Calico, Fusain, both entered for the Red Rum. They're coming here instead. I spoke to trainer Patrick Neville about his run of Fusain. They're going to be sending him here. John Bon, Marvel de Cerisi, Not Long Till May, Somewhat, and Solo. So no prices, gentlemen. Harry, do we have a fancy for the first race on the Saturday?
What an absolutely horrific race if John Bon doesn't go. It is a criminal race. Now, fair play to Connections for lining up. I mean, if you want some decent prize money, then fair enough. Because if John Bon doesn't go, this is wide open, I think. But if John Bon goes, he's going to be no price, is he? He'd go and win, simple as. And if he doesn't win, then your question marks are going up about that horse, then, aren't you?
Yeah, not a betting race for me at the stage. Lee?
Yeah, same, because Banbridge and South Roy is going to go on Thursday, so it's definitely one to leave until the day. But if John Bunn shows up, he'll win.
If there is a market that opens up in between now and declarations on Thursday at 10 a.m, I'd have a couple of quid on Fusain just for fun. Patrick Neville told me about this horse when I did an interview of him with the Real Whacker. He's rated 1-2-2. He's rated accordingly, but he's a lovely jumper. And a bit like the Real Whacker, if he just gets a nice freebie on the front end, he could run on, and he'd be a massive price now. So I reckon he could squeak into the places, but not a betting race, it seems. The Grade 1 Mersey, though, the Mersey Novices Hurdle, could be one that we will be having a bet in. Hermes Allen, this is where he's also entered for 11-2 in the pocket again, enter for this race as well as a race that we've mentioned previously. Same goes for You Wear It Well, 6-1. Dark Raven, 7s. Irish Point, 8-1. A horse I lost money on in the Ballymore and didn't even turn up. The Carpenter as well at 8-1. Lee, as my camera keeps having a nightmare, what do you fancy for the Mersey?
Again, it's one to leave till the day, but I would forgive Hermes Allen. It's run the last day. It's a Grade 1 winner. I think this kind of test and track will suit a bit better. Conditions maybe went against it the last day, but it was a very impressive winner, and I just would forgive its last run and focus on the ones before. I think it was just something to miss. Paul Nichols had a great week, had a couple of winners, and a lot of horses ran well, and this one just didn't fire, and I'd forgive it. So if I had to take one, Hermes Allen.
Lovely stuff. Harry, what do you fancy for the Mersey?
I'd be keen to side with You Wear It Well in this race. I think, listen,
the form did take a whacking now. The form took a whacking in that Ferry House race.
Yes, it did. But then again, you're thinking a fresh Ashrow Diamond should have probably won that race anyway. I mean, Pink in the Park was third, skipped Cheltenham, didn't even go. I think the race was just cut up. I don't think it was the best race in the world. Yeah. She should have won. She won on merit. Very good performance. But You Wear It Well, if the bounce factor, unlike the rest of the horses in behind, it seems that day, if it doesn't happen to her, I think she'd have a big chance because she was very game, jumped like a buck, and you can't knock that performance at all.
Yeah, no, it's a massive performance. She's a lovely horse, I think, but I'm not going to be backing her today. I'll be backing two horses that ran in different races at the Cheltenham Festival in the novice hurdles, and they're all coming from they're coming together. There was one that ran in the Bartlett, one that ran in the Supreme. They're now coming to the same race. I'm going to talk about Dark Raven. I thought he ran an absolute belter in the Supreme. They would have gone to the Ballymore. I'm convinced they would have gone to the Ballymore if it wasn't for Impere Pass. I ran an absolute belter of a race. Before that, he's run a great race at the Dublin Racing Festival behind Ile Te Tomp. Ran a fantastic race there. Up in trip, I think we'll see the best out of him. So 7-1. If he goes, there's been a bit of drift though, which is worrying. But if he goes, I think you'll have a cracking chance. But I'd say I'd probably be a bit sweeter on a bigger price here. Let's be clear about it for Gavin Cromwell at 20-1. I think this horse has plenty of toe, and I think he could be best suited to 2.5 miles. Like his only sort of running over 2 miles being the bumper when he won. He showed plenty of toe that day. He then went sort of 3 mile-ish for a little while. Ran some decent races, like was second to American Mike over 2.5, I believe, or 2 miles, not too sure on that one. Then obviously went to the Bartlett, had some decent efforts over 3 miles, just maybe not seen it out truly. Like it was running behind Favori de Champdu, who's one of my Bartlett fancies. I just think he could be best suited for 2.5 miles. I think Gavin Cromwell thinks a fair whack about this horse. 20-1, he shows plenty of toe. I'd be quite keen to side with him here. So
just to say no for him, because I really love that horse, but obviously they've got Flora and Porter going in the Liverpool hurdle, so maybe he'll definitely be on the boat with him.
Hopefully.
I do think I'll give him a good shout as well, actually, because I think he's often given the impression that he's got one of these massive runs in him. So good shout.
And what gives me promises he's not entered for the Sefton. So if he goes, he's going here. I think that's the same for Dark Raven as well. I'm just checking his entries list now as we speak, but he is entered for Punchestown. But if he comes to Aintree, that's where he's going. Maybe he might be safe for Punchestown, so that might be a little bit of a one to watch on the decks. But looks like, let's be clear about it, isn't entered for Punchestown, so we'll probably be coming here. The final race is the Grade 1 Liverpool Hurdle, and I will. After time myself here, Cider Burley at 33-1 last year. Thank you very much. He is going again this year. As he's won the Stayers Hurdle, he's a bit shorter. He is 7-1. But Marie's Rock tops the market 7-2 there for Nicky Henderson. Tiupu 4s, Flooring Porter 5s, Champ for the same owner, obviously, as Cider Burley in there at 7s. Dasher Drasher 8s, home by the Lee, same price. I'll go Lee first of all to kick things off in our final Grade 1 race. What do you fancy for the Liverpool Hurdle?
I'm torn between two. I like Flooring Porter. I think he had a bit of a niggle. He still ran a solid race in the stayers at Cheltenham, and then he's ran a solid enough race last season in this race here against Sire de Burley. And I think he'll come on for the run kind of thing from Cheltenham. So I do like Flooring Porter going here. And I also like Home by the Lee. I think he was unlucky not to be a lot closer the last day. I think it's between the two, Flooring Porter and Home by the Lee, and I'm torn by which one I'll take, but I do think they are two against the field, maybe.
Thank you very much. Harry, what do you fancy yourself?
Yeah, I echoed the Home by the Lee thoughts. Obviously, he was my stayers hurdle fancy. I think he's a really nice price. Again, he looked like he was going to be beating out the screen, but he wasn't. And he just kept going and going up the hill. It was a really good performance. The horse is so versatile. He made a horrible mistake. I can't remember where it was. It was such a key point.
It was early on, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he just needed to get a position. It was just an awful mistake. And kind of then you just think that, well, that horse's race is up. But he kept going. Credit to him. And he's a game horse. But my main fancy, now, so many people will disagree with me, and it is Marie's Rock.
I thought you were going to say Champ.
No, I do think Marie's Rock has a big chance here because that mare's hurdle was just,
what happened in the mares?
Like, it's just a nightmare of a race from start to finish, wasn't it? For everyone bar Love Envoy and Honeysuckle. It was just and don't get me wrong, it was a bad run. It was a bad run, but then I don't think all is gone with her just because of one bad run. She's very talented. She racked up a load of grade 1 and grade 2s and unbeaten. I think she's class act, and if she is back on the ball, I think she'll be tough to beat. So
she's very short though to beat. She didn't lift the leg.
I don't think that is short. I think you're taking a chance. 7-2. She wouldn't be 7-2 if she ran. If she ran close in that mare's hurdle, or she went and won.
The fact is, she didn't. She was a long way beat. Like even taking out the front
but then again,
Queensbrook, that one stayed on and still got a. I mean, she was a long way beat.
But there's two of them. The rest of them were all well beat. The rest of them were all well beat, bar the front two.
Yeah, but she was. I think she was the most disappointing in the race. I really do.
I think she was. I think she was. But then you've got the likes of Epiton, who never lifted a leg. Brandy Love, Echoes in Rain. They were given no chance at all off that stupid pace that they went. So look at him just swinging in the background as well. What has he got to say?
You two had enough, have you? I'm going to talk about Liverpool hurdle, and I'm going to talk about Champ. I think he's. I don't like the drift. That's the one thing putting me off. Really is putting me off. 9s on the exchanges, 7-1 on the book puts me off a touch, but I'm with him here.
I think he's drifting to his age, isn't he?
Oh no, you can win at what I remember precisely last year. You said that Sire de Burley's old enough to smoke, and he went and won. Massive hammer there. But look, I just think it's quite as simple as this. Marie's Rock was disappointing in the mare's hurdle. Tiupu is the other one I will be with because he looks like he's going to the race. But again, he's running the stayers hurdle. Flooring Porter ran the stayers hurdle. Sire de Burley ran the stayers hurdle. Dasher Drasher ran the stayers hurdle. Home by the Lee stayers hurdle. Time Hill. Where did you go? Stayers? Was it stayers?
Don't get me talking about it.
Is Tiupu? So we mentioned the groundabout, Jerry. Is he so keen on the soft as well, or would you say he needs that definitely?
I don't think he needs it definitely. I think it's more of a case they needed it in his 4-year-old, juvenile career, and in his champion hurdling career because he was running over that sort of 2-mile distance. And they just need to slow things down for him. Now he's up to 3 miles. I don't think it's too much of a necessity. But Champ is the one that I'd be keen with here, purely on the basis that we know he's like incredible fresh. His record is just simply incredible. I think he has about. I don't want to get this wrong, but it's something like 5 wins in a second when coming off a break, and that second was the So Royale over fences when prepping for the Gold Cup. He's just incredible fresh. He was really good at Newbury in the long distance hurdle. I thought beating Paisley Park by a neck. He just idled a little bit there at the finish, but he stayed on. Like, I think there's no real much negatives to him apart from the drift. I think he's a fairly lightly raced 11-year-old for him now. Like he's fairly decent at this level. And I think if you're taking there's the big ask to take these stayers hurdle horses who ran in like fairly attritional conditions. It was an awful race. And like, if they come back out of it, brilliant, fair enough. But especially for those older horses, Flooring Porter, Paisley Park, you know, they just can't do it. Champ couldn't do it last year. He ran a belter in the stayers and just disappointed to hear. So I think they've saved him for this race well. They've done the right thing. They've given him a break. I'll be with Champ for this race if he goes. If not, I think the one to do it is Tiupu. He's young. He tried to do it last year where he ran in the champion hurdle and then went to did he go to Aintree? Yeah, he went to don't quote me on that. He did it last year to Tiupu where he tried to do both of the spring festivals one after another, pulled up in both of them. But again, trip was all wrong for him there. I think he's a hardy horse as Tiupu, and I think he's the one. But yeah, Champ for me. And I'm quite happy in my selection. So lovely stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about the handicaps finally, very quickly. It's not going to be going through the race at all. It's more of a case of if you have one, please do shout now. So I'm going to go over to Lee, first of all, for the handicaps.
Yeah, Friday, the second race, Pickor, I think, of 132 has got a good shout. Being really well backed already. This is before even the decks, so before even half the fields probably going to get taken out. Is being back 25s into like 12s or something. Harry Skelton's jocked up 132. I think is a good mark. Ran won well the last day, and then 2 runs ago was behind Hacker de Place and Might Eye. Only beaten about 3 lengths at Cheltenham. That was only off 129, so hasn't been put up a lot. I just think Picard's got a good, solid chance in a race I believe they've won before. And I like Grey Diamond, £7 higher, but bolted in the last day at Haydock. That's in the 440 on Thursday for Sam Thomas. He's got a couple in the race, but again, another one that's been really well backed. £7 higher, but he would have handled that the last day. He absolutely hosed in. So Grey Diamond, and also See You in My Dreams in the bumper on Thursday. Tanked in the last day for Paul Nicholls, absolutely hosed up. That one will go well in the bumper. And Walking on Air as well on Saturday in the 225 of 138. Ran a solid enough race in the Patems. I think was a little bit unlucky and can go closer. So Walking on Air. So Walking on Air, Pickor and Grey Diamond, and also See You in My Dreams on Thursday.
Lovely. Harry, yourself.
I won't actually put one up right now. I'm not too confident on. I had a couple. I had a couple noted down, but then it's kind of one of those that if they don't go, you make a tit of yourself, and it's not one of those that as soon as decks come out, that's when I can nail them. So if there is anything, check the Twitter.
Week?
Yeah, if there is a few that I fancy, listen, I won't be having a bet in every single race there. I can assure you that. But I'll for those that I do have a fancy in, I'll obviously drop in the Twitter or on the Only Fools of Horses.
Just a quick one. You did like late night pass. Sorry,
I did. Yeah, good winner here, course winner. Really nice horse. I think Gina Andrews is already jocked up. Yeah, gets on really well with the horse. So I more than likely
this trip suits that one, doesn't it? This trip, yeah.
Listen, good horse. So I'd be willing to side with him, but I wouldn't be going deep on anything right now.
Lovely stuff. I've got a couple that I'll rattle off very quickly. In the Fox Hunters, I'm with It's on the Line. Ran a good race in the Fox Hunters at Cheltenham. Derek O'Connor's on board. Emmett Mullins thinks a fair whack about this horse if it turns up soft ground. That will only bolster its chances. That's on the Thursday. Sorry, I had 2 for the Red Run, but they weren't declared. Calico and Fusane were my 2 horses. As you can see with my scribbled out writing on the bottom there, my thumb is, so that's always fantastic. Moving on to the Friday, I like Phoenix Way in the Topham. I thought he won hands and heels in January 2022 to beat Fanny and Destraval off a mark of 140. The rest of the field were well in behind. Before that was second to Anne Sam, who's improved £15 since. Again, was off a mark of 140. Aintree form's not too bad, was 4th in Protectorate's Manifesto. Now down to a mark of 138, second lowest mark of his career. Runs since have been over sort of 3 miles twice, I think, which probably isn't his best trip. And the first one was off a break as well, and he needs a bit of a run. So I think Phoenix Way's got a cracking chance in the Topham. Anything else on that Friday? Oh, is that the same race, the William Hill Handicap Hurdle? I believe it is. Jason the Militant for a mark of 146 as a £5 claimer on board, so it goes down to a mark of 141. 1. This is a very, very classy horse on his day. Gets softer conditions. This horse, I'm convinced, will win some good race at some point. And he's 66 to 1 for that race. That's absolutely brilliant. Moving on to Saturday, the 3 mile handicap hurdle. Gatsby Gray, I think it's got a half decent chance. Was second in Mighty Potter's win at the Punchestown Festival over hurdles. Was a good staying on 5th, I believe, at the Dublin Racing Festival on last start. That was the race won by Percival Le Gaulois. I think the run last time was for fitness over the wrong distance. He's been given £2. He's up to a mark of 141 by the British Handicapper when his last run was off 139 over in Ireland. So he's been given £2 by the British Handicapper. But I don't think that's too bad for a fairly classy animal now. So that's Gatsby Gray in the 3 mile handicap hurdle. Anything else? The William Hill Handicap Chase. 2 horses I actually quite like here. They're probably going to be strongest bets at the handicaps. Coconut Splash 20 to 1, dropping in the handicap.
Oh my God, not that horse. Not that horse.
20 to 1 has been dropping in the handicap, although has been running some really good races. Was behind City Chief last time out and getting £3. Ran a good race there. Was third to Into Overdrive off the same mark. As my alarm is going off on my little watch here. Fantastic.
That's just for the date tonight, isn't it?
Well, who knows? Third to Into Overdrive off the same mark as each other back earlier this season, I think in 2022. Into Overdrive's improved £14 since. Ran Chantry House close in February 2021 in a novice chase. I think he's been punching well in handicaps, and if I mark a 130 on Saturday, he could go quite well. And in the same race, Castle Robin 25 to 1 had good word for him to win the last day and just didn't perform. Unfortunately, that was at Doncaster. A nice run at Kelso in October 2022 when behind Sounds Russian. That horse has finished second in a Cotswold chase since. I think he could bounce back after a little small break after his Doncaster disappointment. And at 25 to 1, Castle Robin will be where I'll go there. And that's me done in the handicaps. The book's gone over there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, lads. That's all we've got time for on our Aintree preview. We've covered a lot there. Thank you very much.
Should we nap?
Oh, we'll nap. Yeah. Lee, go for your nap of the week.
I'll just quickly mention the comp as well from Racing Tees at Racing Tees 1 on Twitter. You can get these tops, Corach Rambler top and that. But there's a competition and we're going to announce it tomorrow, I believe, when the video's out. In time for the National, you can wear any of their colours. Just retweet the competition on the Only Fools Love Horses page. So that's from Racing Tees at Racing Tees 1. But my nap, look, I've got big balls. I'm going deep. Corach Rambler to win the National. Come on.
That is bold. Harry.
My nap is a very short price, and it is someone to be glued to the last fence by the time the Grand National goes off. So short price, fill your boots. It's definitely going to happen. I've heard inside information saying
from your vegan friend.
Been working very well at home.
Go on, what's your nap on the track? Come on,
nap on the track. All right, I'll go with scriptwriter. And and
there was an ooh from the crowd.
Which one of your 70 you're going to put up, Matt?
I think number 54, I believe. Found a 50 in the top novices hurdle. Probably go for that one. Lovely stuff. Thank you very much for watching this bumper episode. Thank you very much to James Griffin and to Cameron Sword for coming on. Got the name right there. Thank you very much both of them for coming on, talking about their horses in the Grand National. If you did enjoy, please do like and subscribe. Smash the subscribe button there and the notification bells. My camera goes off for one final time. If you did enjoy, comment down below what you fancy in the Grand National. I'll endeavour to respond to all of them.
We've got one of our video coming out to Ash as well.
Oh yeah, we've got a video coming out, whether it be posted on YouTube or Twitter. Not to decide on that, but we've got a video where we spoke to plenty of people in the racing Twitter community, in the racing community, with their horse for the Grand National. So that'll be coming out very soon. We'll be back. I'm sure. Maybe even Saturday. Maybe next video, whenever we're back. We will be back at some point to talk a little bit about the racing going on next week and a little build up towards the Punchestown Festival. Please do subscribe, like, and follow all of us on Twitter, and we'll see you very, very soon. Thank you very much.